Preface of Our Little Spanish Cousin. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Our Little Spanish Cousin by Mary F. Nixon-Roulet. Preface. Washed by the blue Mediterranean and kissed by the warm southern sun, the Iberian peninsula lies at the southwestern corner of Europe. To this sunny land of Spain we owe much, for from its hospitable shores, aided by her generous queen, Columbus sailed to discover that new world which is today our home. We should therefore be very friendly to the country which helped him, and American boys and girls should welcome the coming of our little Spanish cousin. End of Preface. Chapter 1 of Our Little Spanish Cousin. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Our Little Spanish Cousin by Mary F. Nixon-Roulet. Chapter 1. The Christening. One of the things which Fernando remembered was the christening of his little sister. He was 5 years old and had no other brother or sister to play with, for Pablo, his wonderful big brother, was away at the naval school, and his older sister, Augustia, was at school in the convent. When Fernando's nurse told him that he had a little sister, he was delighted, and begged to see her. And when all his relatives on both sides of the house came to see the baby christened, he was still more pleased. Fernando was a little Spanish boy, and in his country a great deal is thought of kinsfolk, for the Spanish are very warm-hearted and affectionate. So Fernando was glad to see all his aunts and uncles and cousins and all the friends who happened to be visiting them at the time. Fernando's father, the Señor Don Juan de Guzman, was a courtly gentleman, and he bowed low over the ladies' hands and said, "The house is yours, Señora," to each one. So, as the boy generally copied their fathers, Fernando assured his little cousins that he placed himself at their feet and welcomed them just as politely as his father had the older folk. What a wonderful time he had that day! First came the christening in the great cathedral, which towers above Granada, and in which lie buried the king and queen, Ferdinand and Isabella, in whose reign Columbus sailed away from Spain to discover America. The cathedral was so grand that it always made Fernando feel very strange and quiet, and he thought it was shocking that the baby cried when the priest poured water on her and baptized her. María, Dolores, Concepción, Isabel, Inés, Juanita. This seems a long name for such a tiny little mite, but there was a reason for every single name, and not one could be left out. Nearly all Spanish children are named María, whether boys or girls, because the Spaniards are devoted to the Virgin Mary, and as the baby was born on the feast of the Immaculate Conception, she was called Concepción. Isabel was for her aunt, and Inés was for her godmother, and Juanita for her father. Her name did not seem at all long to Fernando, for his name was Fernando Antonio María Alegría Francisco Ruy Guzmán y Jiménez. Everyone called him Fernando or Nando, and his long name had troubled him but once in all his gay little life. That time he had been naughty and had run away from his aya, the nurse who always watches little Spanish children like a faithful dog, and he had fallen into the deep ditch beside the great aloe hedge. The aloes are stalwart plants with long leaves, wide extending and saw-toothed, and they are often planted close together, so as to make hedgerows through which cattle cannot pass. The leaves of the aloe are sometimes a yard long, and they are very useful. From them are made strong cords, and also the alpargatas or sandals which the peasants wear, and the fibers of the leaf are separated from the pulp and made into many things to wear. The central stem of the aloe grows sometimes 20 feet high, and it has a number of stems on the ends of which grow yellow flowers. The leaves are a bluish-green in color, and look like long blue swords. The long hedgerows look very beautiful against the soft blue of the Spanish sky, but little Fernando did not see anything pretty in them as he lay at the bottom of the ditch, roaring lustily. "Who's there?" demanded an American gentleman who was
Sample complete. Ready to continue?